You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby. I'm in my zone. I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vogt.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes, episode 140.
Wow.
140 episodes of MinneZona Sports Live. big milestone. 150's coming up here in about 10 episodes, so keep your eye out for that. But without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., 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 and all the way from Woods and Shores Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul the Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
I'm just happy, first off, we get through all the bitter cold that was a couple weeks ago, but now the fact that we got to throw on another snowmageddon situation on top of it all, I'm just happy I have power, knock on wood here this evening, and looking forward to hopefully another good show tonight.
Yes, it should be another good show tonight, and very snowy evening. I don't know if Case likes it or not, but it seems like he does. We'll figure that out later on in the show.
He's more enamored with Blue's Clues right now.
Blue's Clues,
so
yes. Yeah. So I guess Blue's Clues is probably taking the throne there. But Easy A says it's dark outside. I can't see the weather, so the snowstorm doesn't exist.
Fake news.
Yep.
Fake news.
Yeah, that is that. You hit it right on the nail there. A couple things. So one, kind of some tidbits, but we have reached 40 subscribers on YouTube. So let's give a little bit of a clap out. So we appreciate you guys with the likes, the subscribes, the comments, things like that on the chats and whatnot. We appreciate it. We really do. So we'll keep getting that number up. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then the second thing we just talked about before the show, before we start Tater Tot Hot Take, Kirk Cousins in a new Netflix series called Quarterback. Hey,
yes, sir.
Let's go. Kirko Chains, baby. Get to listen to the whole season and all about Kirko and all that.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Yeah, him.
I just literally forgot all about that, too, with the whole Kirko Chains. That's going to be out there for
that is gonna be
everybody to see now. That's going to be awesome.
I'm so stoked to see it. I think they said in the summer here it's going to come out or something like that, so we'll get to see the full scope of it. Him, Mahomes, and Marcus Mariota. So
kind of random.
Kind of random, but I like it. You got probably the best quarterback out there right now, and then you got our guy Kirk Cousins. Everyone's
missed opportunity to go the other way there. Yeah, true. The best quarterback out there, and Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, there you go.
And Marcus Mariota.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. So
you're all right.
We will be checking out. We'll be checking out that Netflix series. So keep your eyes peeled on that. All right. Well, tonight, Voldy, we got to talk some Wild. The Wild have been hot as of late after the All-Star break, and our guy Ant, he's said some things that everyone is kind of agreeing with, and it's quote unquote soft. We'll get to that in a second. Tonight is Callahan's School of Logic. We're talking about the XFL. Will it survive? Just keep that in mind for School of Logic tonight. And then ARA, as per usual, so we'll have that going for us, and then Shield Shoutouts. So we got a great episode 140 here for you zoners, and let's just get it to you right away. So let's get it going with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it's time for some Tater Tot Hot Take, and we're starting off with the Minnesota Wild. They've been on a 3-game winning streak. Just recently, this past Sunday, which yours truly was at the game, which was awesome, and the Wild win 4-3. It was they were up 3-1. They were pretty much dominating.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you let them back in it, and then you wonder what the heck's going on, especially when they score with, it was about a minute, and then the Wild scored with like 30-some seconds left. It was insane. But they nonetheless, they get the win. Big win for the Minnesota Wild. And then just last night, the Wild get another win against one of the top teams right now in the Western Conference, in the LA Kings. So yeah, they're starting off this February pretty well. Mm-hmm. The question is, can they keep it going? unfortunately, I got free tickets to that game last night, but the snow made it so I couldn't do it. So the joke was on me, unfortunately. But the good news is that the Wild did win against a very good LA Kings team. So, Voldy, we've been doing this common theme with the Wild. You know,
Right.
we started off, they're dead.
Right.
And then I think we got to life support.
Yep.
They're doing better. They're semi-awake out of a coma. I don't know. So where are the Wild at now in your view? What do you got?
They're not dead. I'll say that much. I would say at this point they're tied to a chair, both hands behind their back, and they're taking a beating right now. They're alive, not by much, but they're hanging in there as best they can. I think with the Wild here, and obviously as of late, it's been Ryan Hartman using every limb of his body to find a way to get a puck in the back of the net as well. Obviously, the game winner that he had on Sunday as well. I think what went off his shoulder and went in or something like that. Last night he gets the game winner that ultimately, was off his stick, but still. The Wild are in a situation right now where they're getting creative in how they score. And that's something, especially here in the second half of the season, it's going to be very crucial for them too. Especially now looking at, they close out the homestand here most recently. And now that it doesn't get any easier with the schedule too. Out of the All-Star break, it's been a rough go, obviously losing to the Stars. Then you lose the Avalanche as well. But then, you get a win against New Jersey. You get Nashville. You get the Kings last night. That's a nice win for the Wild, a nice little feather in their caps. They take down Kevin Fiala and the Kings as well. But, again, it's something where they're going to have to find more ways in scoring as well.
Yep.
The bottom two-thirds of the Wild right now, the bottom two lines for the Wild, scuffling at best. They're mixing and matching. They're trying to find the right matchups. What's all working? We already know Kirill Kaprizov's going to score. We already know that top line and, maybe a couple guys in the second line are going to produce. It's about how they're going to try and defend on the back end as well. Defense has been a couple question marks. The revolving door in net as well with Fleury, then obviously Gustafsson as well in his rookie season, making things a little bit interesting too. Getting these guys up from the AHL and also for the for the bottom two-thirds to try to spark a little something. It's going to be quite an interesting next couple of games. I just don't know what the Wild can do to really spark things up in the right direction for them. But there's definitely going to be something that needs to be addressed here.
Sure. And another thing too is that I look at this team and I don't have any. There are some holes I feel like that they need to add a little bit more depth. It always can't be Kaprizov scoring, like you said. And one thing I do want to clarify too is that the Wild were up 3-1 against the Preds. Roman Josi, whatever you want to call him, scored with 15. Scored with 15 minutes left. In the third period, and then a former Voldy, Minnesota Wild star, Nino Niederreiter, scored the tying goal for the Predators. So that was 47 seconds left in regulation, and then Jonas Brodin hits off Hartman, and it goes in. So, that was at about 20 seconds there, too. So, this is what you need to do. You need to have those types of guys score at the right time. And Kirill was fantastic, 2 goals that game. But then when you fast forward here to Tuesday night, Gustafsson, rookie year, he's been pretty good. There's a lot of good things that are happening with him behind net. You have Fleury, so hey, you're set at goalie. I feel like right now. So Hartman's been really putting it together here these next couple games. And again, Voldy, like you said, it doesn't get easier. You still have to play Dallas again.
Yep.
You still have to play, some pretty doggone good teams. I know the Blue Jackets aren't very good this year, but you still have to keep that momentum. You can't sleep on teams that, you got to beat the teams that you need to beat for one. So I'm not too worried about this team right now. Easy A says they're on life support still, so okay, I guess we'll see how that goes. But you're seeing the improvement. You're seeing them kind of growing and showing like, hey, they'll probably be in their playoff time, but can they get past that first round? Still remains to be seen in that aspect. So that's the good news, and there's been a lot of talk too. Before we move on here to our next one, we talked about the trade deadline, what they might do. I was just looking on Twitter here not too long ago before the show. There's been some talk about a guy that we've actually talked about a little bit. Brock, I believe from last time, Brock Baszler? I mean, is that a possibility? Are we? Do you think it seems like they're trying to work something out, Voldy? What do you think?
At this point, it could be a strong possibility. And obviously, there have been some linked chats about maybe the Wild being interested in Patrick Kane as well from the Blackhawks, but things have really deteriorated in that department over the last week plus two. I think Brock Besser would be nice to have for the Wild. He's still young enough, but he still has good enough experience that he could probably fit in second, third line guy for the Wild too. Maybe an emergency situation, you bring him up to the top line too. But I think he's a really good second line guy. Maybe put him down as a third liner as well. He's a guaranteed. He's a guaranteed second line guy, but definitely has the scoring ability too, and I think it would be a good piece to have there. It's just what do the Wild have to give up in order to Vancouver, I should say, in order to make that happen. I feel like the ransom may be higher than the actual worth in return. The return of investment may not be fully guaranteed for the Wild on that.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to how much cap that they have. And it's going to be interesting to see how they, attack this. And I think Guerin so far has had a plan, and I think it's worked so far. So we'll just have to see where it goes from here for the Minnesota Wild. But still you're almost done with February, but you've gone through this stretch pretty well. So that's what we want to see here from the state of hockey. So anyway, moving on to our next Tater Tot hot take. Our guy, Ant. He had some things to say over the All-Star break, and he played pretty well. He played pretty well in that game too, I might add. And I believe that LeBron James picked him first for his team. So I don't know how you justify that he wasn't worthy of being in the All-Star game, and LeBron picked him first. So whoever was doing the who gets in and who doesn't, you better discount double check that, my friend.
Yep.
Anyway, let's just get to what Ant was talking about here. There's always the load management that they talk about in the NBA. I was kind of debating too, Voldy and Zoners, that maybe this would have been good for Callahan School of Logic this week. But there's a lot to unpack here. But I feel like this is good for Tater Tot Hot Take because Ant is talking about what everyone else is talking about. I'd like to talk to Alex Zapp about this too, so we'll be talking with him hopefully here soon. So Ant says, all the guys sitting, resting. That's the only thing I probably don't like. Just play, man. If you 80%, you got to play. I don't like all the sitting, missing game stuff. These people might have enough money to come to one game, and that game might be the game. And this is a direct quote from Anthony Edwards, too. Basically saying, hey, you got to, stop with resting. Was Jordan doing that back in the day? Barkley, Ewing, they weren't. Just to finish what he said, people come money, go to one game, and that game might be the game they come and you sitting out, is what he said. There's obviously more to it. Ant is spot on. I mean, there's really not much else to say. I get that, there might be back-to-backs, there might be all this extra stuff, but Adam Silver has done a good job at trying to, quote-unquote, make it so that there's enough time in between where in your off time you can rest and whatnot. But teams doing this and guys, sitting, just, I gotta ice my shoulder, things like that. It's like,
yeah,
you got to realize that you've got a lot of money, and this is a game where you're expected to play. So I agree with Ant. I think everybody agrees with Ant at this point. Voldy, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Of it. I can see the one, obviously, of the fans. Maybe this is their one shot this season or in years that they'll be able to come see their favorite player play. We saw it a couple weeks ago with the kid that came from overseas to watch Jimmy Butler. He can't end up coming, didn't play that night, but yet somehow got connected with the Heat, ended up coming to another game, got all set up with Jimmy Bucket's gear and everything for the Miami Heat. Yay, all is safe. But on the other side, I could see the frustration from players and obviously the whole load management. Ultimately, I would think it'd be the players' decision and talking with coaches and say, hey, I'm not doing 100%. My ankle's killing me. My knees hurt. I got bad shoulder right now. I need to sit this one out. You would think there would be some consideration on that. But if it's coming from a standpoint of the GM and coach saying, no, you got to sit this one out. You played 7 games in a row. We need to sit you for at least one of these games. If the player says he's good to go, why not just let him go? You don't want to say run until the wheels fall off, because then you're SOL in that matter. But I can see how there may be some confusion, clarification that needs on that. If the player says he's good, he should go. But if he's not 100% and he thinks he's not 100%, then let him sit. I see it from that point. On the other side, I can see it from a front office coaching situation too. You need to watch out for your investment, basically. You got a guy that's $100 million, hanging on by a wing and a prayer. He's got bad knees, or he's got, he's been a little bit nicked up as of late, like the whole Karl Anthony Towns situation. Like, is he back? Is he not? When's he coming back? When he comes back, how long is it going to take for him to get back into game shape and all that? You invested all this money into him. Obviously, you want him to play that full length of the contract and, obviously earn his money. But you need to also be like, we don't need you to push it. We don't need you to come back as fast as possible. We want you to come back when you're 100%. Whether or not he thinks he's 100% and the doctors say, well, he could probably use a couple more weeks, then you take that into consideration. You're looking out for the best interests of your player, your fans, and the franchise itself, because if you look out for the best interests of the player, he's going to say he's 100% when really he's only 60%.
Right.
He comes back, hurts himself, he's out even longer. Coaches are mad. Players are mad. Fans are mad. Media is mad. You're probably mad because everybody else is mad. It's just one big vicious cycle of everybody being mad at each other to the point where the franchise folds and moves to Seattle. There. Not talking specifically about the Timberwolves or anybody in that matter. But the whole load management situation, I think it's a load of crap. If you can play, play. You're obviously counting on,
There you go. They compared a statement from what Kobe said in 2019. Kobe said, "You've got a lot of people paying their hard-earned money to watch you perform. It's your job to be in shape. It's your job, blah blah blah, to perform at that level every single night. And as a competitor, I'm not ducking bleep s." So, I mean, that's the Mamba mentality that he's always had. Got to give him credit for that. But I I'm on Ant's side as well. I believe that a lot of these players take advantage of it. I hate to do this, but it's true. Not Anthony Edwards. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, he uses that, and he uses that a lot. Mr. General Soreness, we all know how that goes on and whatnot. But he's doing that with the Heat now. And I get it. You want to play at a high level, and I'm glad that the kid got to see him play and whatnot, but he uses that way too much. And that's why, I'm not saying that's the reason why he won't win a championship, but I'm saying that there comes a point in time where if you abuse that mantra of, well, rest this guy this night, this guy this night, this guy this night, this guy that night, this guy that night. No. If you are at least above, like Ant said, like 80% or whatever it is, you play. Unless you have an injury that's really bugging you and the trainers or whoever is checking on you says, I'd arrest him.
Right.
Get the medical opinion, no matter what. No, none of this general soreness. Oh, we're sitting him for rest and things like that. Oh, rest. Play. Go out and play. And I agree with Ant. You got to be tough. And Ant's got that mentality of if he's good enough to play, he's going to play. But some of these guys, I feel like, abuse that. And I think Jimmy Butler's one of them. Kyrie definitely is one of them. You could maybe throw in KD, Titch, maybe a little bit of LeBron too, but not as much as some of these other guys. So I'm with Ant, and hopefully the second half, the Wolves season goes well too, because they're going to need Cat, and like you said too, and I agree with this. You don't want to put somebody out there who's going at 60% and then gets hurt even more. You got to find that fine line, right? And I think you just got to use the opinions of the doctors, trainers, and everything like that. So, we're with you, Ant. And hopefully Zappa can give us more info on that, too. That would be pretty sweet. So, more on that, hopefully, later on here. All right, that'll do it for Tater Tot Hot Take this week. Tonight, get those pens, people. Get the pens. We got the pens ready to go, or pencil. You can use either or. Callahan School of Logic. Tonight, we're talking about the XFL 3.0. Not 1, not 2, but 3.0. This go around, we all know it's a little different. You go from Vince McMahon to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Danny Garcia. They've done a fantastic job so far. We'll talk a little bit about that. But the big question, I feel like for a lot of people right now, will it survive? That is the big question, because again, you look at 2.0. Okay, you lose a year because of pandemic, or you lose it completely, pandemic, everything. Then Oliver Luck's suing Vince McMahon, or Vince is suing, however that went down. But the big question is, for Callahan School of Logic tonight, will the XFL 3.0 survive? We'll talk about that here very, very soon. So let's get it going with Callahan School of Logic.
Class is in session. You're enrolled in Callahan's School of Logic.
All right, sit in your desks, shut your mouths, get your pens, get your pencils, get your pad of paper, sticky notes. I don't care. We're talking XFL.
Yes, sir.
So starting off, let's talk about opening weekend here. Things I thought went pretty well for the XFL. The opening weekend was pretty good. There were 160 points scored in total, average of 40 points per game, with 3 of the 4 games decided by 4 points or less. Very good. Linear broadcast peaked at 2.3 million on Sunday afternoon during the San Antonio Brahmas and our St. Louis Battlehawks matchup.
Caw-caw!
Let's go. Caw-caw, baby. Let's go. Not to say that they're the sole reason why they did. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Then a couple other things. Powerful combination. The XFL League ownership and Disney and ESPN social channels generated over 30 million impressions and 235 million video views. So that's and over 61,000 total fans in attendance for the weekend at all games. That's pretty doggone good, to say the least. Now, let's get back to the question at hand. Will they survive? I did some research on this, and obviously you look at the first XFL. So let's go to the first XFL. Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon running things. It's kind of like you get the players that have like different nicknames. He hate me, that whole ordeal, which was fun and whatnot. That's a cool concept. But it's a little bit more extreme, more, hitting, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Everyone thought it was cool until it wasn't. There are a lot of things, the ratings dipped. People decided not to go. It went from XFL to WWE pretty doggone quick. And, I just think that Vince was not able to keep up with that. They were only there for, one season. They were able to get it done. But it started off hot and then just fizzled. If you watch that 30 for 30 documentary, you'll see the whole ordeal with that. And I think there was a point in time where one of the film crews or something like that, forgot to put in gas for one of the trucks or something like that. Yep. So they went completely off air. So check that out if you have time. Then, what does Vince McMahon do now? Oh, he wants to bring it back. 2020. Bring it back. It's going to be better. It's going to have this. It's going to have that. Okay, fine. I'll check it out. I mean, it's not going to be... Guys aren't going to be destroyed or by any means or, hits to the head, everything like that. So it starts off and, a pandemic hits. And that's about it, right? So there's really nothing to... There's really nothing that you can do about that. Then all of a sudden, Oliver Luck's suing Vince McMahon suing him, the whole ordeal. So, what does the XFL do? Well, they turn to another fellow WWE / mega movie star, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Works out pretty well, right? You have, he's proven that he can, be in the business world, be an owner of a football XFL. Danny Garcia, definitely has the ownership piece down and whatnot. So they're kind of tag teaming this, and so far so good. But there's a lot of differences between 3.0, 2.0, and 1.0. Rather than saying that this is going to be better than the NFL, that's what Vince wanted to get in people's heads. It's going to be better than the NFL. You're not going to beat the NFL. Let's just cut it right here, right now. That is not going to happen whatsoever. The XFL is not going to be bigger than the NFL. It's never going to happen. Okay? We all can say that. But instead of saying that they're better, it'll be better and things like that, they're actually deciding to help groom players and have them compete in the next level. Maybe go to the NFL. That's why they teamed up with the NFL to say, hey, if some guys start, doing well here, you can bring them up to the NFL. I mean, this is a great opportunity. And that's why they're doing that series on ESPN Plus it's called 54, and it's just how everything's been put together in the X. I haven't seen it yet, but I believe it is, just kind of guys in the XFL, trying to show what they can do and hopefully be able to go to that next level. And I think The Rock said that The reason why it's called 54 is because he was the 54th player that was out. You get 53 players on a team. He was the one guy that was cut. So instead of being cut, you're in this league with 8 teams showing off what you can do. So they have the agreement with the NFL, and that's something that's pretty good so far. Here we go. We got zoners chiming in. I'll get right back to it. But you only survive if you have the Mamba mentality. Yeah, that's true. The real question is, can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Yes, we do. Thank you, Victor. Good to see you again. But, yeah, I mean, so far, there's going to be media members that are going to rip it. And that's going to be common here. And it's not to a point where you say, okay, well, you know, am I really going to watch this and things like that? Like, I don't think anyone's really expected to watch it. But with this golden age of media and social media, for one, you can see highlights and things like that off your phone, off ESPN. I mean, that's why they have the deal with ESPN, and that's how they're able to get their content out. So props out to the XFL for that, because Dwayne's doing what Vince wasn't able to do, and say, I'm going to make it better than the NFL. No, you're not. It's just, you're not. It's not going to happen. I mean, give that up, Vince. But guys like Mike Florio, and again, you know, the Kirk hater / he's, you know, he is what he is, and it is what it is. He said that the XFL is back, the TV audience is not. He said that the 4 XFL games televised by ABC, ESPN over the past weekend had a drop in viewership of at least 50% from the same windows in 2020. So, you know, you're going to, you know, make that comparison and whatnot. But then also you have the USFL as well, which is crazy because now you have 2 leagues that are playing here in the winter / spring-ish, you know, area too. But you're going to have your retractors, and you know, you see how it goes. But I mean, not saying that it's not going to fail, because it might. I mean, and it could be, you know, I'm not going to say because of another pandemic, because I don't think any of us want that anymore.
Nope.
But let's think about it this way, though. The Battlehawks, I feel, repping them today. Okay, we're official fans now. So don't forget that. Our big reason why they had that jump, a comeback win for victory, and also a 3-point conversion, not kicking a field goal, but a 3-point conversion. I believe that starts at the 10-yard line. So pretty cool. Not gonna lie. They get that, obviously. AJ McCarron, we'll get to that in a second. It's just a little taste of what could be for these upcoming players. Is, hey, if you show out like AJ McCarron, could, you know, teams start looking at him in the NFL. Or our guy who was undrafted, had a couple injuries. I believe Ricky Prohl had a key touchdowns, key catches in that game too. Mm-hmm. So you're being showcased here, and that's great. And another obvious reason why is because you don't have an egomaniac like Vince McMahon. Like I've mentioned earlier, he's not running the show. The Rock's running it. He knows that, hey, you know, he believes that he can do this better by saying, let's have these guys work their way to the NFL, kind of be that springboard to go up, like I've mentioned. And with Danny Garcia leading the charge, you know, from a business aspect and football aspect, I mean, they know it. They know the game. They're inspiring players to get that second, third, fourth chance, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what they want to have. No more like extreme heads, no more weird storylines that they had in the 1.0, and then no micromanagement, because I think Vince did a lot of that, and there was a lot of issues with that. In 1.0, 2.0, maybe he kind of let his foot off the gas pedal a little bit, but
Right.
instead of micromanagement, opportunity. The logic in all this, why not give XFL 3.0 a chance? Flip it on while you're doing laundry, while you're eating, etc., whatever. No, it's not going to be as exciting as the NFL. But that doesn't mean you have to be starved of football till August/September. Get your fill. Last thing I'm going to say, go Battlehawks, baby. Let's go, Battlehawks. Caw-caw! Let's go. I know that was terrible. But anyway, by me. Let's get to zoners, and Voldy, I want your thoughts on this. Victor says, here, I got it ready. Hold on. I got it ready. Hopefully the league doesn't hit rock bottom. There's your rim shot, Victor. Had to do that for you. We do have this new soundbite, which I really do enjoy. Sounds it's like juniors for hockey. Yeah, I'd say that. I mean, you could even say minor league, right? I mean, a little bit. I wouldn't say minor league because, they're all professionals and they all know the game. And it's a little bit different with some of the rules and whatnot. But Victor loves it. We had to do it for you. So, to say the least, I think they're going to survive. They have the right management. They have the right people, barring any setbacks like a pandemic or they lose money, things like that. But I think they're going to survive. I really do. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Back at the whole XFL, the first iteration don't really remember. It was a weird time, but obviously a lot of my reference comes from the 30 for 30 documentary. The really only two things that stood out for me, He Hate Me, Rod Smart ended up playing for the Panthers and actually ended up playing on one of those teams that went to the Super Bowl. And the other thing was Jeff Brom cutting that promo on the sideline. Is this or is this not the XFL? And do I or don't I have a pulse? Let's play football. And it just went on. Jeff Brom to the moon after that by 1,000 points in that promo that he cut after getting a hellacious hit the week before. Vince McMahon, he just went in the way that he always does, just full on of swan dive right in, just see what happens, because he always thinks that money will buy everything out of every situation. And, well, we've seen that come back to hurt him a few times in the last calendar year yet alone. But when it came to the XFL 1.0, good things, bad things. The real, the Sky Cam was a big thing. The Bubba Cam as well. That was another thing that really kind of revolutionized the way that we view sports nowadays as well. But the second time around, I remember seeing the announcement of XFL 2020. Vince McMahon announcing that the return of spring football with the XFL, that I think it was spring, if not summer 2018 when the announcement was made with the launch of said league to return as well. I was really excited seeing some of the teams. Another chance for some well-known players to get another shot at it once again. Unfortunately, a global pandemic had other ideas of trying to create something for the XFL. And then it all goes belly up once again. Everything with Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon, the lawsuits, obviously in the middle of the pandemic as well. Not very good for anybody in much regards. But then hearing of basically the buyout, Redbird Capital, Danny Garcia, Dwayne The Rock Johnson as well, you thought, okay, things are moving the right direction, because we've seen everything that The Rock touches turns to gold one way or another. But having the right people, bringing back some of the things from XFL 2.0 and 1.0, and putting in a new twist on it. The only thing I hate so far is the logo. If we can get the old XFL logo back, that'd be great. Love it. Huge fan of it. But I can understand from a branding standpoint, you got to move things forward as well. You did bring back the Battlehawks, the Defenders. You threw in a couple of new spins, San Antonio with the Brahmas as well. There's still a few of the still mainstays from XFL 2.0. I mean, you got a few of those things back from the previous regimes and go arounds as well. I think there is an opportunity to be success in this. 1.0 and 2.0 were all about trying to be better than an institution is now over 100 years old in the NFL. The XFL 3.0 is talking about, let's do everything we can to get you to the next level. We don't want you to stay here, We want you to go forward. Be that man that makes a difference at the highest level of professional football as well. And that's what I really like about this as well. This is another opportunity for guys that maybe got overlooked, or maybe guys that are trying to come back and don't have that any more chances as well. Josh Gordon with the Seattle Sea Dragons. He's trying to find his way back onto an NFL roster one way or another. But we'll see if that works out. Did catch a touchdown, though, for the Sea Dragons this past week to open up the season for them as well. Great opportunity. A.J. McCarron showed once again he's got NFL caliber talent as well, leading that comeback. A lot of revolutionary rules as well. Talking about the 1, 2, and 3-point conversion. So let's talk about the onside kick / 4th and 15 as well that set up that game-winning drive as well, because no onside kicks in the NFL, or in the XFL, I should say.
Right.
You can choose to go for it on 4th and 15, I think starting back at the 45 or maybe the 50 or something that. You get 4th and 15, you get a fresh set of downs, as opposed to the traditional onside kick, which 9 out of 10 times doesn't work at all. That was great to see as well. And with it being such little time is left, creates a lot of opportunity for these teams to, change a few things. The kickoff rule as well, where the coverage teams are, 5-10 yards within each other to set up for decent returns for the return man, and neither team can start blocking until the return actually takes place as well. So that's another great rule that could quite slowly but surely integrate itself in the NFL. And another thing that one of my coworkers were talking about is how long until the NFL and the XFL maybe not merger so much, but ultimately end up being kind of the feeder system, if you will, from basically like a minor league team or something like that, to where we've got 3 defensive backs that are hurt. Let's just put in a quick call to the St. Louis Battlehawks. They've got 3 guys that we can bring up, or let's bring up 2 guys and we know one guy's going to be available next week, and put them in near NFL markets, but still have the success of being in a legitimate city. Like I was talking about with one of my coworkers, a good feeder system for the Minnesota Vikings. You put a team in Fargo or Sioux Falls, a little bit of distance away, good size market, could host an XFL team or something along those lines. This is way down the road. We're talking, I said, within the next 10 years, I could see this happening, where there'd be some sort of partnership or something like this. Because we already saw some of the rules from XFL 2.0 make their way into the NFL, or at least some sort of, the way they kind of changed things up, especially with the use of the Sky Cam that was used in the XFL into the NFL with XFL 2.0, where they, see the whole play happen, like the kickoff return itself, getting it from the sky cam view as opposed to the traditional sideline shot as well. So I said within 10 years we could see more integration of the XFL and the NFL come together, but this is going to be quite awesome to see. I have no quarrels.
So it will. You're saying it's going to survive. This was okay. Right. Well, one thing I do want to add is Austin Prohl instead of I was thinking Ricky Prohl from the Panthers and the Rams, and obviously those great teams. His dad, yep. So Austin Prohl had a great game. I mean, Blake Prohl. I believe he's still So oh, there you go. But good news. Thank you, Victor. Yes, I got Voldy off mute with our 2 thing. The single was fine. It was just our 2 when we're both on here. That's the thing. When we were both on the screen, but fixed. We're good to go. Anyway, I think it's going to survive. And also, let's think about it this way. St. Louis Battlehawks, they're going to win the first XFL title. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yup. I'm saying it right now. The Battlehawks are going to win the first XFL title. You have A.J. McCarron. You have Austin Prohl. Their defense stepped up when they needed to. and against the Brahmas, I believe in this team. I really believe in this team. Hopefully, maybe get us some tickets. We are official fans. I mean, they did say, the Twitter handle did say to me that we won't let you down. So we're official Battlehawks for life. So go Battlehawks. They play tomorrow against Seattle. So let's go 2-0. Let's go Hawks. 2-0, baby. Let's go. So, yeah, I think it's going to survive, and obviously flip it on when you're not doing much, right? I mean, not a big deal from that.
I'm going to have to tune into that game tomorrow. You know, I'm a little sneaky Seattle fan a little bit, so I have to see what we're doing here with that.
Yeah. Well, the good news is I believe in A.J. McCarron. There was a point in time where I wanted A.J. McCarron to come to Minnesota. There was a point in time when I wanted that. And hopefully it does happen. You never know. Maybe to back up Kirk. I would be totally fine with that. I really would. So
you're just in it for Mrs. McCarron.
No, that's not right.
Come
that's
on.
Not right. I did say I wanted McCarron. I thought he had all the intangibles at Alabama and whatnot. But no, that is not. No, that's Brent Musburger. Let's give it that. That's Brent Musburger. So leave it like that. Well, good segue into ARA here. We got some good ARAs. Eric Bieniemy, he's with a new team. K Love, gosh, I haven't heard his name in a while. We're going to talk some MLB, MLS, some interesting tidbits coming your way. So let's get it going. Foldy, what's up? Observe or approve.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it's time for some absurd or approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, it didn't take us very long to get an update on what Eric Bieniemy is going to be doing this coaching offseason. Last we were talking about, is he going to stay with Kansas City or is he going to go somewhere else? Well, as of the 17th, so that was 5 days ago, that would have made it Thursday, Friday, it was Eric Bieniemy coming to a contractual agreement with the Washington Commanders to be their new offensive coordinator and assistant head coach. 2-year deal that includes, quote, a promotion and title and contractual structure and a pay raise, according to sources, as it spent Eric Bieniemy now going to be offensive coordinator for a team and a group that does have some tangibles when it comes to players on the field. Taking, of course, over as offensive coordinator, he's going to have some options when it comes to quarterback. He's going to have some options when it comes to wide receiver. But there are some playmakers on this team for Washington who did not have a too terrible of a season for Coach Ron Rivera, especially with the fact of their debut as the Washington Commanders. So, with it being that the Washington Commanders finished with just a tick under 19 points per game this past season in 2022, is it absurd or approved with Eric Bieniemy leading the offense for Ron Rivera's staff? Will they improve upon those 18.9 points per game from 2022?
Oh, it's hard to say. It really is at this point. You go through a quarterback carousel. Ron Rivera, you had Wentz, you went to Heineke, you went to Sam Howell, and apparently that's who you're going with this upcoming season. Yeah, I don't know why, but anyway, I agree with Victor. He says absurd. Lateral move to a worse team. Couldn't agree more on that front. It's hard to say. And the reason why I say it's hard to say is because you don't have Andy, you don't have Mahomes. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to get exposed or anything oh, see, this was all Kansas City and things like that. Because I don't want to believe that. Because I really think he is a good offensive coordinator. Now, when you have a quarterback like, a second-year quarterback that played like maybe 1 or 2 games for the Commanders, I mean, that's a tall task. And what are you going to implement in that offense? And how is everyone going to understand it? Things like that. But I'll say this. I think they will improve, but it won't be by that much because the lack of experience at quarterback. Unless they have a plan to go and trade for someone again, like they did with Wentz, or like they're like, oh, the Heineke thing's great, but I mean, the Heineke experiment I think's over, and that's no knock to Heineke. He played well in some good spots there, even though they tried to copy the Kirk O'Chains bit, which didn't go well for them, I will say. But yeah, I think they are going to improve, but not by much. I believe Eric Bieniemy is going to get them in the right direction, but they're not gonna do it right away because they do have a pretty good defense. Let's not forget that. Not saying it's 49ers territory or anything, but like that. But they're pretty good, so that helps, and I believe that Bieniemy will get them to at least get that number up a little bit offensively because. Rivera, I feel like understands what he wants on defense. He's got the guys that he needs. Then they'll keep adding to it. So the main thing is, all right, Eric, this is your offense. Figure it out. Let's get this improving here soon. So it's got my stamp of approval, but not by much. Voldy, what do you got?
I think it's got my stamp of approval as well. I think just having a good young receiving core is kind of the big thing. There's some established talents as well. Terry McLaurin, of course, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel as well. You got experience at the tight end position. You've got a guy that was a former quarterback in Logan Thomas, who's still there as well. You've got a pretty decent running game as well. Brian Robinson out of Alabama, Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick still finding his way onto the roster too. It's just the big thing. Who is going to be the guy handing off the football? Could it be Carson Wentz? I don't know. At the end of the regular season, he's the third man on the depth chart as well. Taylor Heineke was the backup. Sam Howell as well started in that Week 18 matchup too. I think having that good young receiving core running game is going to be big because obviously when Bieniemy got that start in Kansas City as the offensive coordinator, taking over for, of course, the likes of Matt Nagy when he went to Chicago. A lot of those guys that were there that came playmakers, they were still pretty young. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes was still pretty young as well. Could have an opportunity to mold things as well. Now with, the ability of Eric Bieniemy coming from the Andy Reid coaching tree, that could quite benefit Carson Wentz as well because he played for another coach that was an offensive-minded coach under the coach Andy Reid tree as well. In Doug Peterson, that was in Philadelphia too, and obviously Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator as well. Another, obviously a former quarterback as well. That helps. Having Eric Bieniemy, who has been an offensive-minded coach for his whole career, coming from obviously college into the pros as well, that could be a big help as well. This division in the NFC East, I should say. I mean, this year alone was proven to be one of the best divisions. Well, everybody was in it all the way up until the very end as well. Right. Washington was, maybe on the lighter side, but they made some noise there against, the likes of Dallas. They made some noise against, obviously, New York. And, they gave Philly a good run for their money and a couple of chances as well. Averaging better than 18 points a game, I certainly see that as being my stamp of approval.
Yep, I think so. I just think that what they're going through right now, I believe they have the defense. It's just, I don't know how you can fix that right in 1 year. That's just my thoughts. And I think it's going to improve, though. So I think
having, what's his name, come back young with the bad knee, come back as well. Chase Young.
Oh, yeah.
Having him come back, Deron Sweat as well. I mean, they got some ball. Yeah, Deron Payne, Keith Sweat, whatever. There's a Sweat on every team, and whatever.
Josh Sweat or one of the.
I don't know. There's a Sweat on. Yeah, Montez Sweat. There's a Sweat on every team in that division. It seems like, but they got a pretty decent D line there in
do.
Washington. They just need to get some
They do.
linebackers down there. And, of course, they got Benjamin St. Juice in the defensive
He
backfield.
played well, yeah,
Yeah, he did.
against JJ too in that game. So
Yeah.
we'll see. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, the sweepstakes for who's going to end up with Kevin Love, something that I thought we had to go all the way back to 2008 to figure out, but finally came through. K. Love, after being bought out by the Cleveland Cavaliers, is now a member of the Miami Heat. And there was a couple of interesting things that came out of the deal as well. 5-time All-Star, 15-year veteran as well, who cleared through waivers this past Monday, cleared waivers on Monday, and then obviously signed with the Heat. But with his departure from Cleveland, winning a championship 2016 with the Cavaliers, Cavs had said they plan on retiring number 0 that he wore for the Cavs at the end. I don't think it's after this season, but eventually at the end of his career, there are plans, they're saying, to retire number 0. Ended up playing, obviously, a good number of years in Cleveland as well, but does bring up the mind. So they are going to retire number 0 in Cleveland. Me and my same colleague that we had this conversation about when it comes to the XFL, do the Minnesota Timberwolves retire the number 0, or I should say the number 42, in honor of Kevin Love once his career is finished, absurd or approved?
Ooh, that's a great question. I want to say yes, but I feel like you got to take care of 21 first.
Well, yes, obviously.
Yeah, right. No. I mean, obviously you want to go with that, but I just feel like the Wolves have this weird way of, or not even a weird way. They just have this, until I don't know if it's next year or the year after when A-Rod and Laurie officially take over, but
I want to say it's after this season.
Okay. So then we got that
Not
going for us. I think you're right on that. They're probably going to retire 0 before the Wolves put 42 up, and here's the reason why. He was an integral part of them winning the title back in, 2016 with LeBron and Kyrie and whatnot. He was an all-star for both Timberwolves and the Cavs and whatnot. Obviously, he deals with a lot of mental health stuff too, and he's big support. He's had a big support system and helping out people too. I would like to see his 42 retire for sure. Mm-hmm. Up in Target Center, but. Yeah, I think they will, because I just feel like the Wolves never... I don't think they... The only one that they retired is the Malik Sealy, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah. So, what do you do?
Which is unfortunate. That's
right.
The only number that hangs up there.
Right, but now you got, obviously you got the Kevin Garnett and Glenn Taylor beef and whatnot, so... I mean, you got to retire at least 21 for sure. But with K-Love, I think it's going to take some time before they actually do it, unless, A-Rod and Laurie don't listen to the fans, which I think they will listen to the fans. They'll be instrumental. But,
right.
The Cavs are going to get it up there before us, because we don't know what we're doing with retiring numbers. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I think this would be the dumbest thing that Mark Laurie and A-Rod don't do as their first action as official owners of the... Well, I should say, let me backtrack a little bit. First off, First things first. K-Love going back to the number 42 of the Miami Heat, thumbs up to the big, dumb, goofy white guy. Ooh. Because if we've learned anything in the career that has been for another sidetrack for LeBron James, he needs one thing and one thing to be successful. Just like Tom Brady needs a small little white wide receiver, LeBron James needs a big, dumb, goofy white guy in order to win the championship. Did it in Miami with Mike Miller, and now he needed it in Cleveland with Kevin Love. Why isn't it working in L.A.? I'll tell you why. No big, dumb, goofy white guy to help him out in key clutch situations. You can throw in the bubble championship with the Lakers, but post bubble has been really working out. No big, dumb, goofy white guy. Back to K Love. Name a player post-KG, pre-Cat that had more of an impact for the Minnesota Timberwolves. None. Exactly. That's the reason.
Corey Brewer. No.
Him and his 19 stints with the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
Sorry.
For Corey Brewer.
I had to
keep
put that
going
in.
back and forth in many areas. You can make a case for Ricky Rubio. I know that Munson's going to. You could throw out, I don't know. Exactly. You can. Kevin Love, a consistent double-double machine. Almost had the record for most double-doubles, most consecutive double-doubles, and he missed it by 2 or 3 games, that record as well. He was an impact player for some bad Timberwolves teams. Hitting that game winner against the Clippers, in the midst of the Lob City Clippers teams as well. Making some runs against the Lakers, against the, the early goings of the Golden State Warriors too. K-Love, he did it, man. He was a one-man wrecking crew. And it was, husky Kevin Love with the chin strap beard, shaved head, not the long locks and the full beard. We want post UCLA into NBA Kevin Love. That's why you got to raise number 42 to the rafters and make it happen. Now fast forwarding as well to the Mark Lowry and A-Rod situation. First act, you get towards the end of the NBA playoffs on TV. Well, KG's doing that whole, thing with NBA on TNT thing.
Oh, yeah.
Club 21 or whatever it is. They sneak on. They announce that they're going to retire the number 21 at the beginning of next season. Surprise the crap out of KG. Boom. You've got the fans won over in 2 seconds right there. Yep. Maybe towards the end of after Kevin Love's career is over, who knows? Maybe the end of next season or the season afterwards as well. You retire the number 42. In the post-KG, pre-Cat era, that span of 7-8 years or something like that, maybe even longer, 2008 to whenever his rookie season was with Cat, was that 20, I don't know, something like that, 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
Name a better player that made more of an impact for the Timberwolves during that span of post-KG, pre-Cat era. K-Love definitely needs the number 42 retired. It's got my stamp of approval.
Let's go to our zoners here.
To the zoners.
Victor says absurd. Lateral move. Oh, wait, excuse me. Absurd. Hate to say it, but when I think T-Wolves, I really don't think the Love years. Well, I would agree with you on that. It's just there weren't any good teams that was put around K-Love. And I believe they pinned him as the guy. I remember when people, and I maybe including myself, were pissed that they took Kevin Love over O.J. Mayo because they took O.J. Mayo. Then they traded. Then they got K-Love. And everyone's like, why did you do that? Actually, it turned out pretty well because K-Love was really good. And, he just didn't have that good core around him and whatnot. But, yeah, no, when you think Wolves, you think Garnett. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Number 21 needs to be retired for sure. Yeah, we've been saying it. Here's a guy that I think might. I wouldn't say has Kevin Love beat, but he was on some pretty crappy teams with the Wolves. Al Jefferson. Al Jefferson is a guy that pretty much carried the Wolves on his back for those bad years.
He did.
So
yeah.
I give him some credit
he did.
there.
Yeah.
But not saying that his jersey needs to be retired.
I
don't think that. I don't think that way.
Just give him his credit. We acknowledge his presence. Al Jefferson was there.
Yeah. So, but Victor, I mean, I get your points though. I definitely do. So, even if they don't, it wouldn't surprise me. But if they do, great, do it. I've always liked K-Love. I've always had a great respect for him. So. That's good. All right. Next one, Voldy.
Well, of course, this past week, pitchers and catchers reported to their spring training facilities in Florida and in Arizona. Of course, one of them being the New York Yankees, and one of the star players, the American League MVP, that ended up being Aaron Judge. And, of course, he ended up breaking the American League record for most home runs hit in one season. Not the Major League record. Stop celebrating the fact that he still fell short. 62 home runs this past season for the New York Yankees outfielder as well. And you know what? He said, and they asked him again at one of the first press conferences of 62 home runs. Is that going to be the benchmark of your career? And he said, you never know. And his after the first full squad workout on Monday, he said, I don't really like putting a number on it. I just kind of like going out there and trying to control what I control. But you never know what could happen. So we'll see about 62. Of course, that's the number that he hit this past season. The record is still 73, no matter what all the naysayers say. The number is the number, whether you like it or not. 73 home runs is the number that he is striving for. 74 would break the record as well. But is it absurd or approved? Aaron Judge, could he hit another 62 home runs or even more this coming season?
Gosh, he's such a great talent. I mean, the guy's just a monster. But one thing I do want to get to, Victor wants to clarify. I'm not saying Al Jefferson needs a jersey retirement. Just saying that he had an impact during the same years as K-Love.
Acknowledged.
Yeah. So, but anyway, with Judge, I think it's so hard to follow up with a performance like that, and it's an incredible feature with hitting that many home runs this past year. But I also understand, too, that, I believe teams are starting to take note of how to attack him, and maybe they're going to pull more walks, or maybe he has a down season, he gets hurt, or something like that. Hopefully not, obviously. But, again, it is the Yankees, so we hope that everything falls apart. But I will say, I think it's possible, but it's so hard to follow that up with another, monster season. I think he's going to be a little under. That. So I'm going to say absurd, and I think he'll just be a titch under. Maybe 58, 57, or whatnot. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say he'll be a little under this year. Voldy, what do you think?
I think for Aaron Judge, I think it's going to be more of a question of would he rather have the home run record or would he rather have his team win a World Series?
Right.
I think for him, it'd probably be more of a focus on batting average this year. Average wasn't all that terrible, but at the same time could certainly use a little bit more help in that regard. Of course, he did hit 311, which was second in the league, but if you can get that up to 320, that's a few more hits, a few more opportunities for his team to score. Who knows, maybe even steal a handful more wins. Yep. 131 RBIs, 62 home runs. Those are the big three right there, average home runs, RBIs. And you know what? I think it's certainly very going to be a question if he wants to go for that record as well, if his team is not in a position to compete as well. I think ultimately the big focus, just like every team this spring training, is to win a World Series. I think he'll gladly take a few less home runs and a World Series over the other two as well, with there being more home runs, no World Series, because obviously the Yankees are trying to win a World Series for the first time since 2009 when they beat the Phillies as well. Whether he gets 62 or more, I'm going to say I think it's absurd. I think he'll have a few less this year, but as much as I hate to say it, maybe the Yankees will be a little bit better and maybe get over the hump and find themselves back in the Fall Classic.
Who knows? But yeah, I agree. I mean, Victor said it too. World Series over home runs, and that's what your mindset should be, no matter what. If you're, especially being the Yankees and whatnot.
Who knows? Maybe the Twins beat the Yankees in the ALCS. They're in the World Series. Where do things
wishful thinking.
Hey, just putting it out in the universe.
Yeah, fair enough. Bring back Munson, somebody says.
Let me guess. Munson said that.
Well, I don't know. Alex A. But I will say this. How about he stops ducking and find a time to meet up because, I got basketball this night. I got this night. I got this. So it's on Cole here. I mean, I'm more than willing to have him on. I got to still rip him on the Rubio stuff. And he'll probably want Ricky's number retired in Target Center. Let's be honest. But eventually, yes, Cole will be on at some point soon. I mean, we got to talk about this Wolf stuff. So, yes, he will be on soon. Next one, Voldy.
Well, this one is interesting because we often rag about how pro sports expanding their playoff format is like the participation trophy in youth sports. It's tacky. It's not real. Stop trying to justify everybody from sucking in life altogether. But going into things, let's talk soccer here this evening. Major League Soccer has announced that a new expanded playoff format that will see 9 teams from each conference qualify for the postseason with the addition of a wild card round and a best-of-3 series in round 1. The new format takes effect into this season, which also includes a new team, that being St. Louis City FC, that is now joining the ranks of the MLS. Now, there's currently 29 teams in the MLS format. Now, with that being said, of the 29 teams, 62% of clubs will qualify for the playoffs. So if you look at that, 9 teams from each conference, 29 teams, it's 18 teams. 18 out of 29 teams will be some way, somehow, finding their way into the playoffs. Now, 9 clubs from reaching the playoffs. Each conference will be put the highest number ever in MLS, with others that have made 10 from both the East and West Conference. Of course, that was during the 2020 pandemic season, of which the Minnesota United FC were literally just minutes away from going to the MLS Cup. But in true Minnesota sports fashion, they choked on it at the very end. Fast forwarding now to 2023 here, is it absurd or approved the MLS editions of the wild card and the best-of-3 series in the first round with their expanded playoff format?
Well, sure. Yeah, it'll be fine. I don't know much about it. And, like I said, I'm not a big soccer guy or anything like that, but it seems to me like if it's beneficial for everyone, go ahead and do it. But if not, then yeah, it's absurd. I don't know. I just feel like with soccer is very popular, and I give them a lot of credit. That there's enough people interested. The teams are very competitive and whatnot. I will say that. Even though I'm not a big soccer, I'm sorry, Caitlin Toner, and my sister too, who plays soccer.
Exclusive, I do have a guy that wants to be our soccer guy for the show as well. So we have resources.
We do have resources, so let's get them on. So sure, that's fine. Best of 3, best of 5, 6, whatever. I don't care. Just it's fine. Then getting back to Alex here, he's the number 1 fan. He has things to do. Yeah, well, I know he's got things to do, but I mean, if he wants to be our Wolves guy, he is our Wolves guy. I mean, Rattel too, but he's got to get it done. Should Minnesota get a NLL team? He asks.
Tried and it failed, unfortunately.
Oh, well, there you go. So,
rest in peace, Minnesota Swarm.
Oh yes, that's right. That is right. Let's. I'll sum it up with this. It's got my stamp of approval. Fine. Good luck. I could care less, unfortunately. But, yeah. Voldy, what do you got?
Well, in true professional sports, trying to do more with less. They're doing more with less positivity out of it. Just looking at some of the other things, too, as part of the new format, the teams that finish 8th and 9th in each conference will play a one-off in a one-off wild card game for the right to move on to the round 1. And then also play the number 1 seed. So basically, the 8-9 team gonna basically play the wild card round to play the number 1 seed. I do like the fact that it's a best of 3. Lots of things can happen. You lose the first game, win the next 2. Both teams split the first game, winner take all, best of third game as well. I like that. I wish we had more of that in other sports, like the wild card game in Major League Baseball. It's a wild card game. lots of things can happen, but a wild card series like they used to have was fantastic because you always got those classic MLB moments. But a wild card game is not as fulfilling as a wild card series. So, again, I don't know much about the MLS. All I know is there's more teams popping up left and right. Nashville had a team that just came. Of course, Austin just had a team that just popped up as well. LA City as well. LA United or whatever theirs has been up the last few years too. Obviously, the Minnesota United as well. And Allianz Field has been something to capture. I still have yet to go to a game, and yet the other side of my family's been to a game, which I've been kind of not so happy about. Different story altogether. So maybe we might look at going into one here when the weather turns around. But again, talking about MLS expanded playoffs, I have no quarrels about it. Let's just see how bad it's going to get for all those other teams that are not going to be making the playoffs. What are they going to do? Just sit there and watch, I guess. But you know what? I'll look forward to it. It's got my stamp of approval.
Well, there you go. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed if someone said, "Hey, I got tickets to go to Allianz Field. Would you like to, see the Loons play?" Sure. Why not? I'm not saying I don't absolutely. I like. You have sports that you like, and you have sports that you don't like. And unfortunately, soccer not really my thing. But
more about the experience.
Yeah,
taking it all
about the experience and whatnot. So that's kind of where I'll put it at. So. But yes, I'd more than love to have someone come on and talk, soccer. Kind of give me some insight as well. But I do know a guy too. So hopefully, we can get our MLS people / whatever World Cup, whatever team that's playing. We'll figure.
Get the latest.
Yes, exactly. So
staying informed.
Yeah, staying informed. We'll go with that. All right, great job with ARA this week of Voldy. A lot of good ones, a lot of good chatter on that. But we got some Shield shout-outs. We got some retirements here as well and got some shout-outs. So, a lot happening here with Shield shout-outs. We got a good list, so let's get it going. Listen, Shield shout-outs.
Shield shout-outs.
All right, it's time for some Shield shout-outs. So, Shield, who you shouting out tonight?
Well, we got to, of course, send our best wishes on, the last ride, if you will, for SMSU baseball coach Paul Blanchard, as he announced earlier this week that after the 2023 season, he is putting down the fungo, hanging up the coaching shoes, and he is getting out of the coaching profession, as Coach Blanchard is going to be retiring at the end of the 2023 season. So let's hope 2023 is a good season for the Mustang baseball team. Best of luck this year, and hope to catch a game before the end of the season as well. So we wish Skip and, of course, the Mustang baseball team the best of luck. And speaking of retirements, former Twins catcher and a guy I wish he would have stayed around longer with the Twins, Rene Rivera announced his retirement from Major League Baseball, as well as he is hanging up the catcher's gear and going to be, doing something else, as he a journeyman catcher, but obviously a pitcher's catcher as well. Obviously, stayed in the league long enough to carve out a name for himself, at least being a defensive-minded catcher as well. So we'll also play for the Twins for a couple years. So best of luck to Rene Rivera in his future endeavors. And also learning as well that with the hiring of Jonathan Gannon as head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, former Edina Hornet linebacker, former Golden Gopher linebacker, and newest defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals, Nick Rawlis, is going to be hired as the defensive coordinator, the youngest defensive coordinator at the age of 29 years old. And just so happens that Nick's brother is a professional wrestler in the WWE by the name of Madcap Moss. And turns out he was actually, without even thinking about it, had to look him up. Mike Rawlis was actually one of my favorite Gopher players because he was a linebacker, had the flow going, rocking the number 51 in the Jerry Kill pre-PJ Fleck days as well. The guy got it done. He was just flying all over the place. So Nick Rawls, congratulations. Shield shout-out goes out to him. And actually learning a few hours ago as well that former Twins outfielder and mainstay and player Michael Kadire was named manager for the 18 and under USA Baseball national team. So he will be the skip in charge for the 18 and under Team USA Baseball national team here coming up, as they'll be touring across the world as well, playing in some tournaments. And also yesterday, the USFL held the draft, and with the first pick, round 2 of the USFL draft, the Michigan Panthers select Tanner Morgan from the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So we'll most likely see Tanner Morgan playing for the Michigan Panthers, who are actually going to be playing in Michigan at Detroit. They're not going to be the Michigan Panthers of Birmingham, Alabama, like they did with the USFL last year. They're actually expanding out a little bit. I should have probably thrown that in there with A or A this week, but no. Shout out to Tanner Morgan, and that's going to do it for Shield shout-outs this week.
Well, again, we've said our piece on Tanner Morgan. I really hope he does well in the USFL. Mm-hmm. So I really do feel like and whatnot. So I do want to watch a game, see how he does. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how things go for him. And yeah, again, Coach Blanchard, Skip, the infamous basketball shot trick I will never forget. Awesome.
Drop kick, man. It's all great.
I love it. Can we get one more video of that before he retires, please? I mean, we got to make that happen.
Shouldn't be too difficult to do.
No. I mean, he'll get it on his first try, and he's proven that he can do it on his first try.
We got to get him to come on the show.
That's for sure. That's for sure. We got to get Skip on, so we'll work on that. But Skip Rivera, I remember Nick Rawls. He's only 29 years old, brother of Madcap Moss.
What are we doing with our lives? Nick Rawls the same age as us, and we're here. He's defensive coordinator now for the Arizona Cardinals. What are we doing wrong?
Well, everyone's getting older younger in the NFL for some odd reason. Yeah, I don't know why they keep doing that. But
why do they keep doing that? Stop it.
Because of Sean McVay. It's all because of Sean McVay. So I guess we'll see. And Cuddy, too. Good for Cuddy. So anyway, before we get going here, need a motorsports guy. LOL. Yeah.
I think I know a guy.
Yeah. I'd be more than happy to have you as our motorsports guy.
Left turns.
That's why. Yeah. That's all. That's why it's called sports. I mean, any sport, bring it up. We'll do it for sure. So yeah, definitely, we will label you as that, our motorsports guy, Victor. So no problems there. As we always end the show, we're selling some stickers now. I mean, We're getting low. Voldy and I we got some people that have bought some and guys who have won it. Shout out to Aaron Madsen who won for the Super Bowl pick'em and whatnot. But we got stickers if you want to get some stuff before we restock again and whatnot. We got plenty right there. We'll be sending some stuff out. Voldy can send them to you. I can send them to you. We got options. $2 for small ones, $3 for the big ones. You know the deal. And we also have hats that Voldy is wearing. MinneZona Sports Live. 10 out of 10 stars, 5 out of 5 stars, whatever you want to put it as. The hats are fantastic. So $20, $5 shipping, and then same deal with the shirts, $20, $5 shipping, 5 out of 5 stars. Our boy Troy Stoudemire got his, so and stickers too. So he says it's 5 out of 5 stars. We're good with that. So hey, get your shirts, get them now. So anyway, W2 Performance. Make sure you check out our guy Will Rattel at www.w2performance.com. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for the stickers. And make sure you check out the Victorious POD with Jack Vickers. They've got new stuff coming your way. And I believe they just put out a show. They're back, ready to roll. So make sure you check out all their fantasy football stuff. So make sure you do that. But without further ado, that's going to do it for episode 140. We had a great time. It was a lot of engagement, a lot of guys, chiming in, and we appreciate it. We really do. There's going to be people tuning in later, so make sure you give us your thoughts on a lot of the topics we discussed. And before we log off here, Voldy, go Battle Hawks! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Caca, baby! Let's go! So hopefully they get the win over Seattle Dragons tomorrow. I will be checking that game out. I will be wearing my merch here. I might have to get more. I really might have to get more for my Battle Hawks. So go Battle Hawks. And remember, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.